up, World Warrior Team? Back at it again. Welcome to the episode. Today we're powering up one of the most legendary systems in gaming history, the PlayStation 2. It wasn't just a console, it was a movement. The PS2 changed gaming, entertainment, and culture all at once. From its massive game library to the iconic startup sound, this system defined an entire generation. So I wasn't a PlayStation guy, I was a Nintendo guy, Sega Genesis guy. So I did not get a PlayStation 1, the first PlayStation. I was still into Nintendo 64 and all that bullshit, and the Dreamcast. But when the PlayStation 2 came out, I had to get one because I had nothing to play. I didn't want to get that far behind in gaming. So I bought the PS2, got a couple games, and I was hooked. So in this video, I'm gonna just talk about what made this system so great. In my opinion, it's probably one of the greatest gaming systems ever made. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. Welcome to the launch that changed everything. The PlayStation 2 dropped in 2000 and it shook the industry. At the time, Sony was riding high off the success of the PlayStation, but no one expected what came next. It wasn't just another console, it was a full-blown entertainment device. For the first time ever, you could play games and DVDs on the same system, and in 2000, that was mind-blowing. A standalone DVD player cost hundreds of dollars, but the PS2 gave you that and games for the same price. People bought it as their first DVD player, even if they didn't play the games. That's how powerful PS2's influence was. That was one of the main reasons why I did buy it. That was my first DVD player. I played my video games and I watched movies on it. I did not own a DVD player before I got the PS2. That system just changed the way everything was. Playing movies and playing video games, it was way ahead of its time, and that's one of the main reasons why I think it's one of the greatest consoles ever made. And this is coming from a guy who was a Nintendo guy, a Sega Genesis person, and who didn't even play the original PlayStation. The startup that gave you Goosebumps. Before I even got to the games, let's talk about that sound. That deep hum, that futuristic chime, that fade into blue light. You could close your eyes right now and hear it. It wasn't just an intro, it was a mood. The sound told you something special was about to happen, and it stuck with us. A small moment that defined the early 2000s gaming experience. PS2 did it all, man. That system was just awesome. Like, you never seen graphics like that. The games, the startup, everything about it was just ahead of its time. It was like it was playing video games in the future. The games that built legends. Now let's talk about the real reason the PS2 became unstoppable. The games. Sony's console wasn't just packed with exclusives. It was a library of masterpieces. Some of the most iconic titles in gaming history came from the PS2 era. Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, God of War, Final Fantasy X, Resident Evil 4, Shadow of the Colossus, Kingdom Hearts, Gran Turismo 3 and 4, Tekken 5, Devil May Cry. Every genre peaked on PS2, action, RPG, sports, fighting, racing, open world. It had it all. Some of my favorite games of all time was on the PS2. God of War, I still play the series to this day. I love God of War. Of course, Grand Theft Auto. Kingdom Hearts, that's like one of the sleeper hits on the PlayStation. Because it wasn't a kid's game. I thought when I first played it, I thought it was going to be a kid's game, and it wasn't a kid's game. It was so good. I still play that game to this day. Devil May Cry. I love Devil May Cry. Tekken 5. Like Shadow of the Colossus, I still play today. They got it on PS5 right now. So these games just stay with you, and they're so fucking good that you want to continue to play them in every iteration. Even fucking 20 years later, I still play some of these games. The console for everyone. The PS2 wasn't just for hardcore gamers, it was for everybody. You could play Madden, Need for Speed, NBA Street, or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. You can pop in SingStar, Dance Dance Revolution, or Guitar Hero at parties. It became the family console, the center of the living room, and with 4 controller ports, you weren't just playing alone, you were connecting with friends. It was way ahead of its time. It was a great system. Like I said, I played this shit a lot. It was trying to get in the family-friendly zone like Nintendo was, and it really connected people in a way a lot of systems didn't. I think that fucking having a DVD player was a fucking game changer too. That DVD player was everything. How it outsold everyone. The PS2 didn't just dominate, it crushed the competition. It outsold the GameCube, Dreamcast, and Xbox combined for years. By the time production stopped, Sony had sold over 155 million units, making it the best-selling console of all time. And it wasn't just numbers, it was loyalty. People kept their PS2s for a decade or longer. The final game of the system, FIFA 14, dropped in 2013. Think about that. A console from 2000 still getting new games 13 years later. That didn't happen ever. It doesn't happen anymore because systems come out every 4 to 5 years. The last time you can think about that happening was Nintendo when it came out. Nintendo was active up until I think 95, and it came out in 1986. So that's a long time. That's even longer than Nintendo. People were loyal to this. People are still loyal to the PlayStation. I wasn't that loyal because I switched to Xbox for a minute, but then now I'm back on PlayStation from PS4 to PS5. But I've had every iteration since PS2. So it's definitely a system that that grows with you, that you want to be a part of every time a new system drops. And I'm a part of that now. The DVD revolution. The PS2 did something very sneaky. It turned every gamer into a movie lover. When its DVD support, it became the entertainment hub of the early 2000s. Families who couldn't afford a separate DVD player used the PS2 instead. It brought The Matrix, Spider-Man, and Star Wars into millions of homes. That's what made it unstoppable. It wasn't just a console, it was a lifestyle. So I believe a lot of their sales came from people who like gaming, but they also love movies, and they didn't want to spend the extra money buying a DVD player. So you can buy the PlayStation 2, and you'll have a DVD player also. And if you want to play a game, you can play a game. So I think that's where a lot of their sales came from initially. The fact that it was two-way compatible, and people love to have a fucking deal. And back in the day, DVD players were fairly expensive, so this would knock out two things in one. It was fucking genius. The style and design. Let's be honest. The PS2 looked cool. That jet black tower design with blue lightning felt futuristic. It looked like something you weren't supposed to touch without permission. Even the controller, the DualShock 2, nailed it. Comfortable, responsive, perfectly balanced. It set the standard for every controller after it. So that PS2 did look amazing. It's probably the best looking video game console, to think about it, ever. And it wasn't big and bulky either. It was the perfect size. And the control was just perfect. It just, like I said, it's the standard for controls, and it fits perfectly in your hand. They just did everything right with this system. It was truly an amazing design, an amazing effort to put a system like that out. Defining a generation. The PS2 wasn't just a console, it was a time capsule. It represented a moment when gaming went from hobby to cultural force. It gave us stories, characters, and moments that still shape modern games today. It bridged two worlds, the physical, DVDs, memory cards, and the digital future that came after. It connected generations, from kids who played Crash Bandicoot to the teams who connected to GTA. It was an awesome system, well ahead of its time. I believe it's one of the best systems ever made. Sales show that. The DVD, like I said, connection was groundbreaking. No system has ever done that. They did it with the CDs. You could play CDs in video games, but the DVD thing was unmatched. And it was just a great console. That's why Dreamcast didn't last. Dreamcast couldn't compete with it. And then you were able, later on, they had the attachment where you can play internet online on PS2. They didn't perfect it until the next generation, but it was the start of something special. So yeah, the PlayStation 2 wasn't just the greatest console ever made because of its games. It was great because it changed how we played, how we watched, how we connected. It turned living rooms into arcades, family nights into game nights, and gamers into lifelong fans. The PS2 didn't just define a generation, it created one. That's gonna do it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. You could have been on anybody else's channel and you decided to watch mine. I truly appreciate it. There's only 24 hours in a day, and you gave me a couple minutes of your time. I hope I didn't waste it. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. Hope you liked the video. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. I'll get to y'all in the next one. This was